Yeah, good morning, Charles. Good to have you again. Let's start from the first story, which, of course, the amount that has been budgeted for the rehabilitation and maintenance of the third mainland bridge. A lot of people have been questioning how much has been budgeted in the past years. We've seen, huge amount of money budgeted for the rehabilitation. So, talk to us about this. Would you consider this as a waste, or would you see this as a maintenance culture of the federal government?
Well, whatever way you look at it, I wouldn't say it's a waste, because safety is more important than any other thing. A lot of Lagosians use that bridge on a daily basis. It connects the mainland to the highland, and if routine maintenance is done on a regular basis, I will support it. So for now, I would not say it is a waste, or the money that has been budgeted for it is so much. As long as the bridge is being maintained, and Lagosians or Nigerians who are using that facility, they see that they feel safe on that bridge. Now, it's now left for the government to begin to review the amount of money it's spent, and of course, let the auditors do their job and see whether the money is too much or is not enough. I must also commend the Lagos State government, and of course, even the federal government, for that kind of cooperation, in terms of maintaining that bridge. Well, somebody will say probably because the current Minister of Works announced it was the former Lagos State government. That's why we are saying that kind of cooperation. But I think it is very good for government at all tiers, especially the state and the federal government, to cooperate and ensure that facilities are being maintained. The issue of the financing, of course, for me, is another different story.
Because the question is that the amount budgeted for maintenance in the last 10 years is enough to build another bridge, if you look at it as well. So that's where the question is coming out from. So, what's your position on that?
Well, my position will remain, yes, there is engineering and finance. Let the engineers do the assessment and let it be passed to the finance people. It is now left for the finance people, to look at it and say whether it is so much, or what has the budget is so much or not, or the maintenance that is required. That amount of money budgeted for it is too much. So for now, let the finance people do their work and advise government. And if government now see that it is too much, of course it's to reduce. And of course, let the ones that have been approved, let that amount of money be accounted for, and let people see what has been done. That's the only way we can know whether it is too much, or for me, safety is key.
Okay, let's look at the other aspect of it now. The question now is, how is the government going to control the movement of traffic and commuting between? Because if you look at the connection between island and mainland, it's the only bridge, and it's perhaps the busiest bridge in Nigeria at the moment, if not West Africa. So how do you suppose the government approach this? Because it's going to disrupt a lot of activities over the 24-month period that the repair or maintenance will last.
Yes, that's one of the challenges I see in terms of maintenance of that bridge, because of the volume of traffic and, of course, how it connects the mainland and the highland. But this is not the first time we are doing this kind of maintenance. There was sometime in the past, it was done, and that was about 6 months. And of course, in the year 2020 or 2021, there was also another form of maintenance. The thing there is just management of the traffic. At one point in time, if we close one portion of the bridge, people will use this. So it just needs a bit of discipline, patience on the part of the commuters who use the bridge, like the motorists who use the bridge, and of course, the traffic management authority, road safety, and of course, the Nigerian police, to maintain discipline, manage the traffic, and at the end of the day, we will be able to manage it, and everybody will use the bridge, and of course, the objective of the maintenance will be achieved.
Another conversation or thought that will come into conversation in the coming days is the amount of work hours that will be lost, because if you divert a lot of traffic from the third mainland bridge, it means that the Western Avenue will be choked, and if you look at that, it means that a lot of people are going to be, are going to get stuck in traffic. And that means loss of man hours, loss of manpower, and then, of course, there will be a whole lot of losses in terms of monetary terms. How much, if you convert that, the hours that we lost in traffic, if you convert that to monetary terms, it's a whole lot. So perhaps it's a conversation we need to revisit, and talk about how to structure effectively structure the movement of people around this time. But let's move away from there and look at something very important. At the meeting yesterday, IMF is proposing that Nigeria increase its tax. To be able to increase tax to cut borrowing. What's your position about that, about this recommendation at a time where a lot of businesses are already suffering the impact of tax increase on their businesses?
Yes, there are two things man cannot run away from: debt and tax. Whether we like it or not, we must pay tax. Whether businesses are collapsing, the ones that are existing must pay tax. Workers must also have to pay tax. Government needs revenue to run its affairs. And yes, our borrowings have been so much. And that is why this body, IMF, is telling us, increase it. I would agree in increasing your tax just for the sake of increasing. Even the current tax, people who are paying tax, there are so many people who are outside this tax bracket. If the government is able to prevent those leakages and include more people in the tax bracket, we will increase our revenue. For me, it is not just increasing the tax that is the issue. It is effective administration of the current tax policy. People who pay tax, is it the actual amount they are supposed to pay? The big businesses, the corporations, the IOCs, are they actually paying that number of the amount of tax that is due to them? These are the things the government needs to do, not just increasing the tax. We also need to increase the number of people who are supposed to be taxable. And if we do that, people pay the correct tax, I think it will go a long way in increasing government revenue. We might not even need to increase tax arbitrarily.
I know this recommendation is coming following the recent decision by the federal government to borrow about $800 million US as the first tranche of palliatives to cushion the effects of the planned removal of petrol subsidy by June. So, talk to us again. Do you think it will be necessary really to borrow to fund this subsidy removal by June?
Yes. Subsidy removal will cause a lot of issues here and there because change is very difficult. Now, that I call it a palliative, the $800 million. And if you look at the conditions, the terms and agreement for that loan, you can see it is very friendly. So it's not left for the government, because look at the interest rates you are paying, less than 2% or less than 2.5%. So the government can make use of it very well, while the subsidy, money realized from rural subsidy, can be channeled to health, education, and other aspects of our economy to improve lives of the citizens. Then this palliative should be used judiciously. Let there be transparency in the usage of that fund so that we will see the impact. The issue here is this money should not be diverted to other private pockets or other sources that are not meant for. So yes, we can take the loan, we can take that facility because the rates are very friendly, but we must make use of the funds judiciously.
Okay, let's move away from there. Quite interesting story, especially with this one now, regards to loan banks or loan apps rather, or we can call them online bankers, that the federal government has vowed to sanction them over breach of privacy. And if you look at the manner they go about retrieving their loan by intruding into the privacy of loan customers, that's exactly what the federal government is trying to address. So first is, what is your position on this move by the federal government. The second thing is that, do you think that this now has become a respite, or it's offering a kind of respite for those who are Nigerians who are seeking loans to borrow more, because it looks like this will encourage more people to borrow now?
Yes, thank you very much. The first part of your question is, yes, I agree with this. You know, there must be regulation in any game. Yeah. So if people are going against the regulation, then of course there should be sanction. So I agree with the federal government, you know, to sanction those banks in terms of, you know, getting into people's privacy. I must even tell you a practical example. This morning I received such a call when they were telling me a cousin of mine or an acquaintance of mine, I'm taking so and so amount of money and you must come and pay. If they don't pay, they will hold you as a guarantor and all that. I never solicited for such a thing. I never even guarantee anybody for loan. So you can see that, and thank God to Google, the technology. They are saying these loan have companies, online banking, they can no longer access the individual private contact. So I think it's a very good development. And if those of them who are still doing it right now, of course, there is already a government law on it. So if they are found wanting, of course, they should be sanctioned to kind of sanitize this digital banking, because we need credit in any economy. And Nigerians who are credit worthy will continue to borrow money and fund the things they are doing. Most economy in the world today are funded by credit. So we need credit for consumer loan. We need credit for so many other things. However, once these credits are given, proper, professional, and ethical means must be adhered to in terms of collecting these monies back.
Why this development is in a bid to protect, customers' privacy? I mean, the concern, therefore, is that we have records of people or customers who abuse this opportunity. So I think that's the concern. Perhaps, would there be any measure, in your own opinion, to address, those loan defaulters? Because this, of course, may open up a window for people to abuse it. That's what some of the operators are saying.
Yes, I agree with you. And you can see, recently, if you are aware now, when you take a loan from any of the financial agency, any of the financial institutions, okay, and you are not able to pay, you now go to another financial institution, open an account, you have money there. Then there is a policy now that they can track with your behavior, they can track whatever funds you have in any other financial institution in the country, and you will take money from there and repay your loan. We have seen this happen practically. So people are cautious now. If you are going to take a facility, you must be willing to pay back as at when due. Now, at the same time, I also blame the financial institution. Any loan or facility you are advancing, you must do your proper work in terms of the 5 C's of credit. 5 C's of giving out loan. Capacity must be there, character must be there, consistency must be there. That is, the person taking this loan must have the capacity to pay back. They must have the character, and you must have done your own work before advancing those facilities. I mean, I was in the public bank for some time, and we knew that from the day one you are advancing any credit, you are also looking at the possibility of repayment. So the loan officers should do their work very well and ensure those who benefit from these facilities have that capacity to pay back.
No doubt, credit markets in Nigeria is actually enlarging, and there's quite a huge opportunity for investors to play in that market. So do you see more investors coming into that market? Because we just recently, not quite long, we saw the federal government approve about 170 loan apps out of the 200 who are already operating, and of course also issue about 10 license to digital banking firms as well. So talk to us, give us your outlook. It looks like we're not about to see the end of operations, or will I say more people to come into the market. That's what I mean to say.
Yes, with our population of over 200 million Nigerians, with young people making majority of that population, we see an expansion in that credit market. The only thing the government need to do now is to create an enabling environment for the operators and also for those who are coming to benefit from it. We must have a credit scoring system. We must have a database that will ensure that people who are taking this loan will be able to pay back. If there is a lot of regulation in the market, the credit market, and people follow those regulations, government monitors it very well, and of course, even the financial institutions themselves, they have their own internal mechanism to monitor their own operations very well. Of course, we will see an explosion in that credit facility industry, and that will kickstart our economy. Most Nigerians need consumer loans. You want to buy furniture in your house, you need a loan. You want to buy electronics in your house, you need a consumer loan. But as long as database is there, where they can track you are working, all the things are there. So as soon as you take this loan, then as the agreed rate and amount will be deducted gradually. Then of course, people who have bad credit record scores should not be allowed. Of course, you might not qualify to take facility from any of these financial institutions, whether it's online or brick and mortar banking facility. This is just to regulate the space and ensure that proper data is kept to know those who are capable and those who have good credit score.
Okay. Let's move away from there now. Perhaps it's one of the interesting story on the program today. 30%, that's 30% of Nigerian dollar millionaires lose status in 10 years. That's a report by Henley and partners yesterday, looking at the number of high net worth individuals, millionaires in Africa's largest economy, in Nigeria here, which they said has fallen by 30% between 2012 and 2022. So what does that tell us? What does it mean for Nigeria, and of course for the middle class? Talk to us about this.
Yes, if you look at this that research, it goes to show, because Africa generally, of course, we see Nigeria is one of the largest economy in Africa. Now, the millions that you have in Nigeria, if they do their work in terms of naira, of course, we know that that will not amount to anything. So most of them now rate their money in terms of dollar. But at the same time, because the economy of Africa in general is not growing, and of course our currency is also losing value. So by the time you now do that review, you can see a 10-year review. Most of these are dollar billionaires. They will reduce their own net worth will be reduced, because we are looking at it based on the dollar. And of course, these are Nigerians or Africans who are doing business here in the local currency, and that local currency is losing value. Look at, taking Nigeria as an example, the value of our naira has gone down. So somebody who has 1 billion naira 2 years ago, today that 1 billion naira will not be moved up to maybe in terms of the US dollar. So the value continues to go down. The only way things can improve in terms of these are dollar-denominated billionaires is for African countries to begin to grow in terms of their economy. That is, our currency needs to improve. When our currency improves, we will not be seeing this kind of reduction in the net worth of the high net worth individuals in Nigeria and, of course, Africa as a whole.
Okay. Well, according to the 72-page report, South Africa tops the list of the top 10 wealthiest countries in Africa in terms of resident high net worth individuals by some margin. So I'm just wondering, though, because Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa, followed by, South Africa, you have Togo, Egypt there. So talk to us about this. So just wondering why South Africa is topping the list of the top 10 wealthiest countries in Africa.
Yes, you can see that South Africa, looking at their history, of course, you know that it's still be run by the white people, and of course, looking at where they are coming from, yes, it is obvious that the people resident there in terms of their wealth, it will be better compared to other parts of Africa. However, Nigeria also stands a better chance, but we can see lately in Nigeria what inflation has done, what the economy has done to the average Nigerian. You see wealth, and you see more and more Nigerians going into poverty level. The middle class too is virtually being wiped out in Nigeria. So it is because of the constitution in Nigeria and the economic situation which we find ourselves. So yes, it will be possible for Nigeria to take over South Africa in terms of wealthy resident individuals. However, we need to improve the economy of Nigeria before we can get to that level.
Okay. Anyway, of course, the report also says that the big 5 wealth markets in Africa, that includes South Africa, you have Egypt there, Nigeria, Kenya, and Morocco. So not really Togo. I think Morocco and Kenya are among the top 5 big, wealth markets. They call them the big 5 wealth market in Africa. Well, on this note, we want to thank you for your time, Charles Fakroha, iBrandTV analyst. We appreciate you for coming on board.
Thank you for having me. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, do have a great day. Still to come after the break, we head straight to the equities market as we take a look at the sentiment driving the market and outlook for Thursday's trading section. Please join us again after this break.